Welcome, everybody, to episode 10 of the Under 1 Million podcast, the podcast based off of the Deserving playlist series on Spotify. I am here with my guest, who has been placed on the Deserving playlist with two different records, one by way of feature, which was called Sunshine and Drop Tops by Playa 1000. Also featuring the Deeksta and Christina Suarez, and then from Compton with Love, featuring Written Quincy. Go ahead and take it away, my man.
What's up? My name is Devontae Suarez. I go by iamDES musically. But hey, you can call me Devontae. It works for me. It's a pleasure being here, man. A pleasure being here. Thank you.
No, man, I'm happy to have you. I've been looking forward to this one for some time, pretty much ever since I had the idea to do this, because I definitely had my eye on a few artists that I've placed, and you were one of them, along with your wife, Christina, who I've already had on. But how you doing, man? This is just how have you been?
Man, I'm blessed, bro. Like, I'm good, man. I'm just chilling. We made it through this. We're out here in Tulsa, so we made it through this little storm, snow weather, but still praying for family and friends in Texas. But I've been good though, man. I can't complain. I'm alive, so that's a start.
Yeah, man. How is that? All those storms, like, was that actually as unusual as everyone seems to have made this out to be? Like, I don't know,
man. So my conspiracy theory, I always say, like, history just repeats itself no matter what. Like, in a sense of, like, we had a ice storm a while ago, and just all that. It was unusual, I guess, somewhat for Oklahoma. But the saying in Oklahoma goes that if you wait 5 minutes, if you don't like the weather, we'll just wait 5 minutes, it'll change anyway, type deal. So it was cool. But I'm a type of person that, like, where my wife, she doesn't like the cold. I'm naturally hot, so I like the cold, and I don't mind. I get to be in the house, I get to chill out. I'm a natural homebody anyway, so it's me and my element. So I think the only thing that made me mad is I never realized that our son has never really built a snowman. So I didn't get a chance to take him out. And he didn't really ask. So I'm like, man, I probably should have took him out in that. So I feel like I dropped the ball. But hopefully we'll get some again before I can make that up. So
for sure. I'm past 30 and I never made a snowman in my life. So hey. I didn't know the weather was like that in Oklahoma, though. I didn't know it changed that often. That sounds a lot like Florida, to be honest, except I'm sure it's not as hot.
Yeah, it has its moments, man. Like it will snow. Like right now, it's just incredibly windy outside.
All right.
And then it'll be sunny and 90, like out of nowhere. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I had no idea. Like I did not think it was like that out in Oklahoma. Guess we're not the only ones with sporadic weather down here in South Florida.
Yeah, man. Florida, y'all crazy though, man. Florida.
Hey,
crazy.
Man. All right, I gotta ask. Why do you say that? Why do you say it? Because I gotta ask. Like, so, everyone thinks Florida's just wilding out. I mean, all right. Well, some people do, but
I think y'all do. So one of my DJ, shout out my boy DJ Wildebeest. He's from Florida. He gonna get it. I can't. I know he went to FAMU. He's gonna get on me for not knowing where exactly he's at in Florida. But we have this ongoing thing because I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, and we always have a California and Florida thing going on. And I was like, dude, every time I turn on the news, it's Florida man, Florida man, Florida man. And I said, y'all got it. And I get a lot of flack for him because when we first met, I called Florida the old people California. That's what I call it. It's like where all the old people go who done with California. And he's like, really?
That's not wrong, but
but I think y'all crazy, man. I mean, don't get me wrong, California, we have a lot of stuff. But every time I turn on the news, Florida man does this. Florida man wrestles. You guys got sinkholes, bro. Like, I didn't even know what a sinkhole was until one of my friends was like, yeah, there's a sinkhole. Then I read a news article. A dude got off the plane. All of a sudden, there's sinkhole. I'm like, how does that happen? Like,
I'm going to tell you the truth right now. Sinkhole is probably one of my biggest fears in life because, like, what is that, man? What is this?
I know.
Big old hole opens up in the ground out of nowhere.
Bro, like, what is that?
That's not how I want to go out. I'll say that.
It's like scary, bro. Like, you just be waking up, get out of bed, like, oh my God. Like,
yeah, no, I'm good. But I mean, hey, I'm not saying this. You're not wrong. There are a lot of wild people out here in Florida, but it's not as crazy as people make it out to seem. It's almost like uh, it's just like a fun thing to see. You see someone wilding in Florida. Oh, here we go again. You know what I'm saying? They're not harming anybody. Well, sometimes they do.
What's with the
Sometimes they
snakes
don't.
and the gators though, bro? The snake, like every time, yeah, like I feel like if I come to visit, and I have a lot of friends out there, and I refuse to. Like you couldn't pay me to go to Florida. Like I just feel like sinkhole, snakes, and gators are waiting for me. So, and Disney World is there.
Hey,
That's what makes it worse.
it's not that bad. We got, you just come. You got to try it. You got to try it. You know what I mean? You come to Florida, you'll see it's not that bad. I'll show you the good parts. You know what I mean? Well, everything will be okay, I promise. But anyway, off of Florida. I feel like we're giving Florida even worse of a name right now, so let's move forward.
It's fine. It's fine.
I got to ask you, man, how does it feel to have a record in NBA 2K21? Because I got to ask. I felt so good for you, man. I was so
I
happy
appreciate
for
that. Thank you. And like being honest, because you're like family. In our household, we love following you on Instagram. We try our hardest to always stay up to every day. So it's like you're like a family far away. And just because I consider you family, shooting straightforward, I still feel like it hasn't happened. So when I play the game, because I'm a gamer anyway. So when I play the game and I hear my song and like on a certain, because it's part of the in-game soundtrack. So when I hear it, it just still catches me off guard. And the fact that we had an Orkin guy come out because we always have people come out doing stuff on our house, and he comes out and he was like, man, I could tell all my friends like, I work on that guy's house, man, and I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, I was playing 2K and I heard your song, and I was like, I didn't even know about my music, and then my wife comes to find out that she had told him, and he played. It's a dream come true in the sense of me and my brother have always played that game since we were like little. And I don't know, man. It's like a full circle moment because I almost didn't submit the song, and I was really thinking about it, like getting older doing music. Maybe this is the year I call it quits. Maybe this is it. And then something like that happens, and it's just like you get your, I guess, second wind, you could say, man. So I feel blessed, man. I feel really blessed, man, and honored to be. I just want I don't know. It's still in awe. Like I can't believe that's me.
I can only imagine. But how did that whole process work? I know they kind of hooked up a deal with United Masters, but how did the whole full process work?
Man, now that I'm full, this is the best question because now I clearly understand more. Because nothing taken. Thank you to United Masters before I say anything. Because thank you to them because for being a distributor who does sync placement, who does all that stuff to get you in those positions. So I submitted for like 5 years, and they have a contest, like a 2K beat contest, and it's typically usually 10 winners. And I submitted every time, and I've never heard nothing. So I never resubmitted. I just left my one submission on there, and out of nowhere, it was like early August of last year that they said somebody's interested in my song, and I tried to ask them. I was like, "Well, who is it?" And they went ghost, and they didn't say anything. And then middle of October, it was like great news. Take-Two Interactive, which is NBA 2K, was like they would like to use your song from Conflict with Love featuring Rick and Quincy, and I was like I ain't no front, bro, like. Cause like music, like you do music, and you know how to like just doing music, especially when you've done it, you've grind so long, it is such an emotional toll. Like I broke down, like, cause I was like, it was like I feel like God and life's way of like, don't give up, like, because I was so done. At this point, I wanted to just focus on my wife and her stuff because I was just I'll put her in that position, which we worked together, so I didn't mind, but. I just had submitted it 5 years ago, and them being my distributor, they always work on, or distributor, I'm sorry, they always work on pushing your stuff. And then it taught me so much about music licensing and syncing that just because you don't see it happening doesn't mean that somebody's not working on it on the back end. And like, it didn't open a whole new world in my eyes because I was kind of overperforming a little bit. And especially with COVID, I wanted to do more smaller venues. And so just the fact that they just submitted and worked it, I didn't win the contest. At first, I thought I was a contest winner. That was the thing that threw me off. I thought I won the contest, and I was like, okay. And because there are rules, I kept trying to follow it. It was weird, but it's just that I submitted it, and then one of the people with their company was working on it behind the scenes for me the whole time. And this was just the year that somebody at 2K was like, "I love it. Let's go." And so,
Well, that's dope. Because I had, you know, kind of just gotten the impression that, yeah, you had won the contest, but I feel like that's even more of a testament to the music. You know what I'm saying?
it is, but like, if I could keep it 100 with that too, it took me because I just found this out like last week, and I thought I was, and I still, because they don't really, and once again, not to knock United Masters, they don't really give you too much of a detail on everything you figured they would. But I still thought I was a contest winner up until more recently when I reached out to them and they kind of broke it down for me. And at first I was heartbroken because I wanted the exposure with the contest, but it was like how you just said, and a bunch of other friends, they was like, dude, that's even better. And like, because it was like, you did it. You didn't have to, you did it on your own. And it took me a minute to calm down because, of course, you want to get the ride the wave of the exposure of that. But it's now opened more doors because I've done it this way. So like, and that's just being transparent with it. I try to be honest with other artists when they come in and like, oh man, I want it this way. But like I said, life will show you like, this is still good. Don't give up.
What else was supposed to come along with the contest winnings? Like, what?
Well, like right now, some of the contest winners, they were like in XXL magazine. So as an artist, you was like, man, I wanted to get that like exposure, but I still can. And like with the 2K thing, it's allowed me to get other opportunities that I'm now working on because of that one thing. And I was like, and I think, and a lot of times too, like they have you where the winners are part of they're in the in-game soundtrack, but if you go to the video game, you know how you can see the track list and stuff like that? They get that. Right. And I wanted kind of that where you can go directly to see the song. And it's okay. Like, it was like, it's one of those things where I think you can't, like, I think as all of us as artists, it's really a teachable moment because I kept trying to look at it this way. And I'm like, no, like I still got this placement. You still go to the Kobe court because that's my guy. And I'm in my Kobe room right now. And like you still will go hear my song. And I'm like, yo, that is like just incredibly dope that the game where one of my all-time favorite player, it's just a blessing. So
I would agree. I think that's awesome. That's even better news, in my opinion, to hear that they like you said, it wasn't anything to do with the contest. Contests are they're overrated, in my opinion. And I'll use this as an example. If you look at the Netflix show, what the hell was that show called?
Oh yeah, okay, I'm with you. I'm with you. The one D Smoke one.
Yeah, what is that? What the hell was that show called?
Is it Hustle? Well, I'm about to say Hustle and Flow. That's the movie, but
Rhythm and Flow, right? Rhythm and Flow.
Rhythm and Flow. That's
okay. So I'm gonna use that as an example. Like you would expect, and not to say D Smoke is, you know, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
But like I haven't heard much from him since then. But using the other artists that did not win that competition, I haven't heard a damn thing from any single one of them. In the news, I look for that sort of thing, so like I just have to dig and find it. But like they're just nowhere to be seen. I check out their social medias, things like that. Not really that much of a big following. You would think it would snowball, but it really doesn't. It really does not. And something that big, I don't know. It's just that's why I feel like contests are overrated. We don't need that shit.
You don't. I think the grind of it, and that's where I think it's important for every artist to know their art and their story. I'm really big on that because I was telling a family member the other day is that because they were like, oh, you should do it this way. And I was like, that sounds great, but how my life and my art is set up, it doesn't work that way. I'm not the guy who submits and wins the contest per se. I'm the guy who has to go the long way to get in the door. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Yes, it's a longer grind. Yes, sometimes it's that, but I do agree with that. Like how a contest, because even watching that show, I'm like, man, the people who I thought should have won, you know, and not taking nothing away from D-Smoke, I thought his was way above everybody else at the end of the day. But like, I do agree, like you don't hear nothing from nobody else. And you know, they don't seize the moment. They don't carpe diem. They don't seize that moment of it. And I think that can happen a lot when you get complacent. Like, where's the making of the band people at, right?
Like, who even remembers their names?
I know. I just remember Dylon.
Yeah. But I mean, that's always been something I kind of thought, and I feel like hip hop in general is kind of going through a culture shift away from the competition based art. You know what I mean?
Yes,
And we're kind of coming together more as a family. A hip hop family is
yes,
it's getting away from that, and I'm happy to see that.
yes.
I've always been one to
Rakim,
want
you
that.
know, Rakim talked about that recently in an article. He talked about how he wished that he was more, I guess I'm kind of paraphrasing now, open. I'll have to find it and send it to you because I was really
Yeah, for
shocked
sure.
when he said it. But he was saying he wished he was more open to wanting to work with his peers and versus being more standoffish in the time that he came up because it was supposed to be, oh, I'm supposed to come at your neck and come at this.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I use the example of LeBron James versus the Jordans and the Kobe, where LeBron wants to work with everybody and everybody's like, nah, you need to come at their throat. Now, and I think there is a point of that where you have to respect the competition of that. But I think at the same time, it's like we're all trying to achieve the same thing. So why not do it together? So
Absolutely. There's a happy medium for sure. There is room for competition, but as long as it doesn't leak into, real life shit, like,
yeah,
yeah, we're good. We can compete in
yeah,
our music and still be cool outside of that.
exactly, exactly.
You mentioned before that you kind of were overperforming, and was curious. Is things still, rolling over there with COVID? Like, is there consistent shows that you can find throughout this pandemic, or has it been a lot
Yeah,
less?
we and here in Tulsa, it's been weird. Like it's been weird. There's still like we have a my friend Ridden Quincy who was on Compton with Love with me. He does a open mic, and he's bringing it back. I think the third is the next day. Cypher 120 out here, where you'll have an artist come out and perform. Steph Simon, who's one of the big local artists out here. Um, Him and the whole World Culture Collective, with Verse, who's on there. They have a lot of stuff that they do, and it's still happening. It's just we're finding different ways to move around. Like what we started doing is home sessions, like because what I'm proud of the local art scene here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, is that we still work. I see a lot of people still work with the venues, but we have this incredible do-it-yourself culture where it's like, well, screw the bars and the venues. We'll just pull up to the mansion out here, the Brady Mansion out here in Oklahoma, and they'll just perform there. Or, we'll create a venue here and we'll just come and do that. So you're starting to see more of that from the artists, and I love that because for years on any local scene, but especially here, I feel like the bars and just different venues here have taken advantage of the hip hop culture,
Okay.
where they will pay more, they will get more money, but they wouldn't pay us nothing. So I'm like, I don't know if I can say it. I'm like, fuck them, don't give them a dime. Let's do it ourselves. That's where I'm at now with it. So, and it's still happening. People are just learning to move differently with COVID, but you're starting to see that. I think we have a thing called For the Homies out here where they do like small in-home sessions that are doing. So you're seeing a lot more of that.
Okay. That's a cool concept. And what did you, the mansion? What did you mention? What was it called? The Brady
Yeah, it's
Mansion?
the Brady Mansion. So please forgive me because like it's basically um it was this venue where like okay, first the Tulsa race massacre. I got to stop saying riots. It was a race massacre, and one of the people, the Brady Mansion, was just owned all these white people, and then it was recently taken over. Now, like I think Felix Jones and like Steph and their label World Culture, they have now taken over that mansion, and just to see black faces in a place that was predominantly white, not now be invaded.
Oh, that's
Where
cool.
this Ku Klux Klan member who had that place is now like you got black faces all up in there, like what I'm saying, running that shit, and it's like just dope. And like so that's one of the big places that I know a lot of events happen. They just did I believe a food drive. Seth, if you're watching, you're gonna have to forgive me for it, but yeah, well, I think it was a food drive that they did. But they do a lot of stuff. Like one thing with Steph Simon, make sure I shout my boy out because that's my brother. Like, what I love what he does, man. He is just the quarterback of our scene, and I mean that in a way is because he makes sure as locals we're always tapped in, and it's just kind of like he'll put an event together, show up if you can show up, if not share it, just like. And we have a saying here that he started, and just all of them in that World Culture Collective of everything is us. I mean, like me being in 2K, that's a win for Steph. It just takes one of us, like how you were saying, us to try to share that. That's in Oklahoma, especially on the Tulsa scene. It's just it's love. So it takes one of us to do that. And it started with this. Right now we're working with this thing called Fire in Little Africa, where it talks about the race massacre. Where it's a big hip hop collective project, and you had different artists from Tulsa, Oklahoma City. We came together to make this thing about what went on with that massacre, and did it through a hip hop form. Especially as the centennial comes up. So these are just big things that are happening in Tulsa, because Tulsa's time is now. Tulsa hip hop is now. But the Brady Mansion, a place that was, I'm still learning a lot of the history, so forgive me, but a place that was mostly where racists have dominated. Now you have, like I said, black faces up in there running it. That's a beautiful thing. So it's just, it's beautiful. Come up to Tulsa, we'll take you to it and show it to you. It's crazy.
Hey, absolutely. That sounds dope. Like, and that's something I've noticed with your music a lot, is you absolutely try to put a meaning behind every record you put out. So
yes.
I kind of want to ask, is there anything in particular that you actually look for to say, all right, yeah, I'm going to make a record about this, or whatever, put a bar in one of my records about this? Or is it just kind of come to you as you're writing in your creative process?
A lot of it comes to me. The reason I'll go back to Steph, because he always calls me Andre 3000, or some of my friends call me Nas, because they'll be like, dude, you would take so long to put a project out, but I just take my time with it. That's my art. And like, I've never believed in the fast foodness of music. Right now I'm working with a producer from Japan, actually, and we're working on this project. And it's just like, I was supposed to go be in there and record today, and I'm just like, nah, I wasn't feeling it. But like a lot of stuff, it's calculated on when I say it and why I say it. Because what I try to blend is just faith. I try to blend cultural aspects of what's going on, social issues, so many things, and talk about that. Like one of my songs right now that I'm releasing, it's a little bit late, but I have a song called Living Single, where it talks about me when I was single trying to date, and how I dealt with when I felt my own version of toxic masculinity. And I had the second part of the song, I had redid a lot of it after Jermaine Dupri kind of made his comment about women in rap. And I want to address that, because it pisses me off, just to kind of go with you touching on those social issues of how we view women in rap. Like every time I hear a top 5, it's like everybody acknowledges people like Lauryn Hill, Rhapsody, but for some reason we won't put them in our top 5. It's like men, we're afraid to acknowledge them in our top 5. But when I listen to a lot of people, I mean, Rhapsody, to me, she's one of the greatest MCs ever, not just female MCs, just one of the greatest MCs ever. I'm like, she's better than a lot of the men we will put in our top 10. And
100% true.
Yeah, and it's like, for some reason, it's like, and I think it's not that we purposely do it, we just naturally forget. And like, so I think that like what I try to do is always be an advocate for those voices, especially because I've always felt like the nerd, or the black nerd who didn't really get to have the voice. I feel like a lot of the blurred.
I never heard that before. That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Shout out to my man Hank, you know what I'm saying, Hank Bird and them in the Blurred Webster, you know what I'm saying? But like, that's what we call it, birds, you know what I'm saying? But like, I think that, we just, like those who, like, I'm a comic book video game loving, adult. And like, but when I was younger, I wasn't into gang banging. I wasn't into the thug life. That's why in Compton with Love, I used the reference with the TV show Gargoyles in my Black identity, because I learned a lot about being Black from the story Gargoyles. Like, you look at what it is. It's like, we're stripped from our homeland, looked upon with fear. I was treated like the monster. Damn, why the hell you bring me here? We were stoned by day, but came alive at night, right? You know what I'm saying?
That whole scheme in that record was unbelievable. When you started talking, I was just like, oh my God. It made so much sense, but if someone had no idea what you're talking about, it probably wouldn't have made sense. But that's what wordplay is all about, right?
Yeah, and I try to do that a lot. Even the opening of it, like when I say I'd rather be a bad friend than a bad father, that was taken to a lot of, because I didn't feel like I was a good dad at first, because I put music above my family. And like, I had to switch that. And then once I switched that to focus on my son and focus on my wife, like, it was these things of where people started having an attitude. So I try to incorporate those things in it, because I was like, man, fuck music. Like, music, like, that's great. I'm in 2K, but to my son, he's like, I just want time with daddy. I can care less about 2K. Like, I just, you know what I'm saying? So I try to incorporate those things in. A lot of times they'll come to me, life situations, and It just depends. I try to get the feel of it though.
I mean, as an outsider looking in, obviously, and I mean, I only see so much on social media, but it seems like you guys are doing a phenomenal job incorporating what you love to do, and bringing your son into it, and just making it a family atmosphere in everything that you do. And I think it's super dope.
Thank you.
I commend that for sure. Which brings me to wanting to ask you a little bit more about your home sessions that you've been doing, the Suarez
Yeah,
sessions, if you
yeah.
will. First of all, like, what sparked that idea, and then we'll kind of go into it from there.
Yeah, it was really created because a lot of things I do, especially when it comes to our company, Swords Inspired Republic, is to give my wife the one up. You know what I'm saying? And because before she was my wife, she was my friend. Like, this is before we liked each other, and she was always talented. And I think people just looked over Sheena. I just always felt like that. And I'm the creative where I'll come up with an idea, but she is the executor. She will go bam, bam, bam. So I had this idea where it's just, because we're married and we do music together, we got bunched as a group, but we're really not a group. We love each other and make music together. And it's just kind of how that goes. And like, so with the home sessions, it kind of happened where I was saying earlier, like, I'm overperforming at a venue. Unless you can pay the fee and you're gonna make sure that I'm properly paid, why do I got to come to your venue? Like, I didn't buy a house just to sit up in the house. That's my venue. You know what I'm saying? How you're running your podcast, that's your office. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I just wanted to utilize that. So with the home sessions, we both are a fan of the iamDES concerts. And when we met, we went to a conference and we got to meet the creator of it, Bob Owen, if I say his name right. But we got to meet him, and then we just said, let's do our own iamDES. Let's just do it from our house and do it that. And these are home videos we put up on YouTube where it's like, hey, if something happens, that's our way of creating. It's always about just lifetime in general in that moment. If something happens to me tomorrow, I want my wife to be able to go back and look at that moment of like, we have that, because that's us. And we're working on the next one coming soon with some new music. But yeah, it just came from us just being at home. We do it all the time. We wake up and she'll start singing a song and we just start vibing, man. And that's just how it goes, man. So we just like, why not just record it and start doing live sessions together? So
I think it's great, and it's something that's never really been utilized in hip hop anyway. I see it a lot in other genres. I guess kind of like rock and roll would be more specifically of where I've seen it the most, but which is kind of weird because hip hop is I think very relatable to rock and roll in the sense of the the foundation or the core values behind it.
yeah.
So why have we not done this yet? I don't know.
Somebody got to start it, bro, and that's where I wanted to do that. And if you look at some of the Roots and just different live hip hop bands who've come together, I just think that it's a beautiful thing. And we didn't practice. It was just like I told her, I said, let's not practice. Let's just show the songs to the band, the people that we have, and just do it, because I like the organicness of it. Like, I don't like to practice. I like let's just be real and spontaneous and just see where this goes.
No, there's definitely value in the raw, unpolished music that a lot of artists seem to not want to put out these days because it doesn't sound perfect. I messed up a little bit there, my timing was off. But I mean, to a true music fan, that type of shit does not matter. And if anything, that actually enhances the music listening experience to me, because it's like I don't know, it's more relatable.
Yes,
I don't know what it is. But I want to ask you, what's your favorite song to perform?
Ooh, I love our song. She will say it's my song, but we have a song called "Last Dragon Affirmation," I love that one because it was the first song I wrote for my album Saturday Morning Cartoons and a Box of Cereal, and it's based on the movie Last Dragon. And so it's my favorite one to perform, and I love to perform it in front of women, because I wrote that song to encourage women to be like, yo, you got glow, you know what I'm saying? Know that you special. And I just want to write something pure. And then my next one would be Legacy. And why can I think of the ones I hate performing more? But Legacy, and I have a song called West Craven Flow. I haven't performed it yet, but I'm kind of excited to see how I can perform that. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
What like why like particularly what is it about a record that you like to perform? Is it like the energy? Is it the message behind it that you want to get out to people? Like you said, you know, that record before, you like performing in front of women because of the message.
Yeah,
Is that the
yeah,
mainly it?
like, well, yes, and like because it just makes me happy. Like when I wrote, I'll take Last Dragon Affirmation. Like when a lot of things, like people, I would say this. This is an ultimate secret with my music. The first word I say is the most important word in the song. And I feel like I'm shooting myself in the foot because it may not be down the road, but like literally, but when I started that, there's proof that God exists when I look at you. Oh yeah, you looking real good. Hey, look at you. And there was this thing with not just women, but all of it. It's for women, but it's all of us as human beings in general, where we have these insecurities of like, man, I feel like, oh, I'm looking too short today, or I feel stubby, I should have worked out, or I feel, all these things. But it's like, nah, I see the God in you. I see beauty in you. You know what I'm saying? And the reason Last Dragon, one of my favorite things is like I love to perform it, especially when I'm on stage with my wife, because I like to recite those words to her. And it's just like it gives me life. And then with a song like Legacy, it just gets me hyped. Because when I wrote Legacy, that was just like when I'm like, legacy, legacy, legacy. Tell me, how do you remember me? Say a prayer for my enemies. Whew, killing off negative energy. I just remember I wrote that while watching Naruto, strangely enough.
Okay.
And like I just felt like him. It's like, because if you watch the anime, he's always, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be that, I'm gonna be that. And that's how I felt. Like you speak your legacy into existence. And that's how I felt. Say a prayer for my enemies. Woo, killing off negative energy. I don't care what you saying. Wait, the flow just went Super Saiyan. Hey, I'm talking about Trunks and Vegeta. I'm too bad to be a Goku. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like just little things. And from Compton with Love, taking that one, when when you get into the second verse, I started to try to go into more of my childhood. You know what I'm saying? Well, especially when I say the line, my auntie, she gave me my first sip of wine. Mama finding out years later. And it's just like, I'm giving you like glimpses because I stopped being the MC who I used to be that one, like, the deeper.
Yeah,
I
right,
don't do
right.
that no more. I'm more of a writer. I want to give you the story. And I feel like I'm more of a writer, motivational speaker. I want to inspire you by what I'm saying and paint this picture. And everything that I write from this standpoint is allowing you as a listener more in my world. Like, I don't need to visit your world. If you play this track, welcome to my world. And Wes Craven Flow. When I wrote Wes Craven Flow, if you know Wes Craven, he makes horror movies. So Wes Craven Flow, the whole concept is the Black American nightmare. And I challenge people. One time I said, if you can listen to Wes Craven Flow, you'll see all the Wes Craven movies I've named with metaphors in there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
And like, you got to really dissect it. Because one of us said, I said, the people under the stairs and they adore me. These bougie bitches bore me. I can't even think of it now. I got to hear it. But I know I started it off like, I don't work for free. When I rap, I pay a fee. Over 400 years. These niggas still ain't free. But that's no chakra. Let me charge up my chakra. Being screaming, hoochie screaming, but they, because I'm the Black West Craven. And when you black, you get judged to the max for misbehavior. In that first 8 bars or so, I talked about, I named 2 Wes Craven movies and nobody caught it. They were like, I didn't know he made all these movies, but you got to listen and then dissect it. So
That's incredible. And I think that's I've always said this, and I don't know what your stance on this is.
yeah.
I think being a fan of music is an art in itself. And when I say
Yes.
that, I can tell we're on the same page here. So like when I say that, it's for people listening who might not know what I mean by that. It's been lost in hip hop these days, mostly because of the type of music that a lot of mainstream artists make. There is
Mm-hmm.
no meaning behind it, really. It's just,
Mm-mm.
it is what it is. They might tell you some bullshit meaning later on that they like just kind of make up to say some answer. But as a fan, and like when I was growing up, I would listen to these records over and over again, trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out everything about it and what it all meant, because there was a meaning behind it all. You can't really do that anymore with a lot of music. It frustrates me. And that's why when I find guys like you,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just super happy because I have another catalog of music that I can kind of just dive into and dissect. So like,
Yeah.
are you that type of listener to, in your music?
Yes.
And okay, and so what kind of artists do you gravitate to?
Okay, so here's the thing, and I may get crucified with your base for saying this. I value music, like hip hop is music, let me say that. But I value the concept of music more than I value hip hop per se.
Okay.
But I love hip hop. And what I mean by that is I know rappers who can out rap the word on me and they'll style it and they do it all the way. I used to be that rapper, but I started valuing being an artist, and artistically, I started looking at that when you give me that instrumental, or tell the producer the instrumental I'm looking for, and we produce this incredible instrumental. That is my canvas on my painting. And I don't care if I'm styling it like a Busta Rhymes, or if I'm doing these kind of these double entendres. Of course, I'm gonna do that naturally because it's in me as a hip hop artist. But like, it's more of the words, and I started copying formats like of. It's crazy you say it, but rock and alternative music. I would look how they write songs, and I'm like, why can't we apply these rules towards hip hop? And then I would take a song, and then my favorite genre of music is classical. So I like a lot of classical music. And then when me and my wife got in common is that we love opera and arias. And I would just listen to how they were doing it. That's one of my dreams, is to write my own opera and like kind of do it my way. And not so much like a Hamilton per se, but I wanted to kind of go off that concept. And like, so I value the idea of music and the inspiration of music more than anything else. So, and so like with hip hop, it's the rebelliousness of it and how it's deemed. But I try to look at it myself. I put the artist above the hip hop artist. So I try to really push that. So when you get songs, there's bullshit songs I'm gonna put out to just be a rapper and put it out. That's just naturally in me. But when you listen to something like Be Kind Rewind, the whole thing is about me working at a Blockbuster. But it's because it's an anthology album where I'm telling the stories of one of the characters from Saturday morning cartoons.
Okay, that kind of makes me feel bad because I completely went over my head when I listened to that whole thing. That's dope, though. That's dope, and that's what I mean. That's what I mean by having a meaning by what you put out. And like you said, I'm not to say that there's not room to just throw on a beat and let it flow, because there is room for that. I do that all the time to myself. It's just having fun as an artist, but
yes,
there's a time and a place, I guess, is what I'm trying to get across. But
I'm with you.
If you had to pick like one artist to open up a show for, let's say, who would you pick? And it doesn't have to be hip hop; it could be anything.
Let me think. If I could, like, I'm gonna say it because from the business standpoint, I'm gonna go through. I know I'm supposed to pick one, but I had to go to business standpoint. It'll be Beyonce because I'm gonna get paid.
Right. Nothing wrong with that.
From a hip hop standpoint, it would be a coin flip or a tie between either Joey Badass or Rhapsody.
Okay.
And only reason being is because I don't think it would be like a big ridiculous venue where like which would be good. Like the Beyonce would be this grand venue where I have to entertain. But if I do a Joey Badass or Rhapsody, I'm still entertaining, but you'll focus on the art more. So
I would agree, and it's interesting you say Joey Badass. I have to tell you this story because the way I got kind of not turned on to Joey Badass, because I knew about him before this, but it was I never really listened to him. It was actually at a Logic concert.
Oh, really?
It was. He was opening up for Logic. Logic was incredibly disappointing as a performer. I have to say that. I don't know. I'm not saying that to like knock him or anything. It just had to say
because he's talented. I'm not a huge fan, but I think he's talented.
He's an incredibly talented artist. Don't get me wrong, but the whole performance aspect he put behind his show was just like a big letdown for me. Too many pauses. He would like pause between each song and have this like long, like discussion type stuff. Like, all right, that's cool, but I was there to see music. Either way, back to Joey Badass. He opened up for him, and I was blown away at how talented he was, and just how first of all, how many people were there just to see him and not the headliner. I was like, okay, maybe I have to start paying attention to this guy, and I did. Got home that night, dove into his catalog, and I've been a fan of his ever since. So, like, how did
Yes.
you come across Joey Badass, and why are you such a fan of his?
Joey Badass, I stumbled across them on Spotify, and I was just like, no, it was YouTube. YouTube. I found him accidentally on YouTube, but I was like, man, this kid got the juice. And I just was a fan and followed him and then watched his style, watched it. I haven't watched the TV show Grownish because he's on the show. Like I follow him as an actor because I'm a fan. And I think that he is super appreciated by everybody who loves hip hop, but he has this Busta Rhymes underappreciation thing where it's like if you mention his name, every hip hop head, oh yeah, Joey Badass. But then like we don't talk about him enough because I don't think the kid can. I don't think he can miss. I don't really think he knows how to miss. It's the same I feel with Busta. I'm like I don't think Busta can necessarily miss. And what I mean by that is like yeah, there may be songs you may not I guess feel per se. So I guess you can say that's a miss. But as an artist, when you really look at their art, they're really good like that. And Joey Badass is just he like the way the kid is crossed over, like and just how he does his stuff, like it's hard to put in words, but I'm like the kid is just dope. Like the kid is just dope, and like I would love a feature if I could, if I have the money, if I could afford it, if I could pull it off to get a Joey Badass feature, that would be my feature. I would take that over 2K. I'll be honest, like I love being in 2K. But a Joey Badass feature, like our Rhapsody, I feel the same. In the way I'm talking, that's why I couldn't put them. Because to me, they are the definition of underappreciated. Like they're just good. They're just good.
What do you think it is about artists like that? Because I agree with you 100% about the underappreciation of people like Joey Badass or Busta Rhymes and Rhapsody. Like, because I've had this discussion with a lot of people, I can never really pinpoint what it is about those artists that makes us as fans not talk about them as often as a Drake and whatever, all these other guys.
It's what you said earlier about the music. I think a lot of there are because of how hip hop is structured, and this is maybe some naiveness with this comment because I don't know everything that's still to the statue of everything hip hop. I have friends who are just pillars and they can break it down. But my biggest problem, I think, with hip hop is that we don't know how to reverence the artists of hip hop. And in the sense of what I mean is like, when you listen to some of these people as writers and how they write, like Drake is a hip hop artist, but he's also an entertainer to me. And I think that's what comes with it. But when you see a Rhapsody who could be an entertainer, like her last project where she put this big woman empowerment project out and just didn't get a freaking Grammy. I don't know how. Even the one before she didn't get a Grammy. I'm like, how? But, it's just we overlook that. But we tend to praise it the way that people are. It's because of how they're marketed. I think if they were marketed, how do I want to word this? I'll say it this way. I love being a Lakers fan. And I love being a Lakers fan. But if you take somebody like Bradley Beal and you put him on the Lakers, and then him doing what he's doing this season, or Julius Randle, who was a Laker, and he's doing whatever he's doing this season, and we will magnify everything they did because they're in a bigger market. But when you're an artist and you're artistic like that, you kind of get looked in this smaller market of frame. And that's not happening to every artist, but it's the budget behind you, the money behind you. I think as we get caught up in the marketing of things, and like we were talking earlier, Miami, that's why I love Jimmy Butler, because he's just a blue collar grind player. And if you would have put Jimmy Butler on the Lakers, they wouldn't be having problems. They would be, because you have your guy who's the grit going to get it and get it done. But it wouldn't have fit him to his, I hope I'm wording it right, his blue collarness of how it is, because the market, it's more flash, it's more show, it's more that. And I think as much as we love that, we love the flash more. And I just think that's what it is. So if I worded that right.
No, it makes sense. So kind of more of along the lines, those artists being more humble in nature naturally, they're just not putting it out there. Yeah, I mean, it does make sense. So, I mean, how would you balance that? How do you balance that as an artist? I mean, obviously we're not that big yet, but it's, it's still the same game. Like, how do you balance, being vocal and pushing your music out there and saying, hey, I'm good, I know I'm talented, and
Mhm.
reeling it in, and at the same time staying humble?
I think that it's just a matter of who you are, and I think it's just listen to the stories before you. Because even as you start talking, one good example that came is Kendrick Lamar. I think Kendrick is the perfect. Kendrick is a big market artist who still gives us small market vibes. Like, and it's somebody like a Kawhi Leonard. If I go back to a basketball way, where it's just I don't need the spotlight. For myself, I try to like my friends get on me for not talking about my resume enough. I've opened for Rakim. I opened up for E40. I've opened up for Slick Rick, and like Waka Flocka I got in there. And then just the different things that we've done hip hop wise, they get, oh, you don't talk about that enough because it doesn't mean nothing. For every one of me who can say that, there's probably 20 more of me. And I think a lot of it is realizing what changed me as a hip hop artist is when I stopped trying to be, I still think I'm the best, but I went from being the best hip hop artist I can be to being the best individual I can be. And this is just a part of me doing that. And because I realize it's always going to be something better. And that's just the industry in the sense of like, for every person, I'm on 2K21, but 2K22 is going to be coming out this year, and you're not going to care about 21. And that's not knocking my accomplishment, but just realize that when you get your moment, own it and just move on from it. But what's next? It's always that. And I think that comes with a humiliating, not humiliating, but a humbling experience of just being like, okay, you know what I'm saying? You got to learn to shift and negotiate with the game because there's going to be somebody else. Like for every person who loves my music, and I have a really good grassroots fan base who, like, I've learned with my base, they're listeners, they're not sharers, which kills me, which bothers me extremely. And but
I'm trying to change that, man. I'm trying to change that.
yeah, I appreciate it. No, I appreciate it because I realized with my base, they did. I've learned to appreciate that because perfect example, Saturday morning cartoons came out 2 years ago, and a song from that is just now getting love. But that's my base. That's that's my fan base. My music, I always say I got the leap year syndrome where I'll put it out, but just in 4 or 5 years, you heard that new dance? It was like, no, that's old. Like, so, but I think it humbles you because I do think I don't get all zodiacs, but that Gemini side of me who has that killer mentality, who wants to be the best like that. It is like sometimes I think it's God's way of like, nah, just pump the brakes a little bit. Like that's why I didn't become a contest winner because maybe I didn't need to do it that way. Maybe this was the better way for me, my ego, and just my journey. And I was like, and I learned to embrace that. So I think it's important as an artist to know yourself and know where you're at because there's still that kid or that childlike artist in me is like, oh man, people ain't fucking with my shit enough. I don't know, my bad.
No, you're good. You can say whatever the fuck you want on here, man.
Okay. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? It's that part of me like, oh, they ain't fucking with my shit enough. They need to share this. And it's that grown ass part, adult of me, and be like, bro, it's okay. Go like somebody else's stuff. Go share somebody else's stuff. Your moment will come. And just say loud, relax. It's gonna be okay. You'll get your moment when it comes. And when you get it, embrace it.
No, I like that. So what is it that you would say makes you feel accomplished?
You're my peers. Like I'm gonna be honest, like my biggest one is my wife. Like I had to learn as a husband of that I would be looking for the validation from you. When I got free from validation, I'm not going to sit up here, Yoda, and act like I am 100% free of it. It's still, I'm a human being. But when I really truly got free from validation, because I would be looking for you to say something, looking for one of my homeboys to say something. I'm like, oh, y'all don't shit, this shit I just put. This is the dopest shit that I put. Like, Be Kind Rewind went over everybody's fucking head. I was like, are you fucking kidding? Let me tell you, bro, I was in the house, my wife would tell you, I was heated. I was like, how the fuck they don't know about this fucking project? And then I just realized that, and like my wife, she's like, babe, that's some of your best work. But she's always been that way. So I lean on her heavy because sometimes I think God has blessed me so much where I'm looking at times from other people that I have people who say it to me, but I'm trying to I need Jay-Z to validate me. Why the fuck do I need Jay-Z to validate me? Validate yourself. And like, it's hard. It is hard because I'm like, shit, like, I'm in the video game, bro, and it still was like, well, this person didn't say it. Like who the fuck are you? They need to say something. You know what I'm saying? Like, who cares? And I think a lot of it, that's why I love my journey as an artist, because I'm like, I don't know why I have to go with it, but I just look for it'll be you to say something like, bro, that's dope. And I'm like, oh man, I appreciate that. Like, I've learned to just take it where it comes. Like, people are always looking for roses, but you get your roses a lot and you get them watered, but you're just looking for the water over here. Or the grass is greener syndrome. You're looking for it here instead of where you're at.
I guess I can definitely relate to you in that aspect. And the same way with me, I always put it in the sense that I can only think of how many artists that I have seen in the past, not so much now because of what I do now, but before I had any of this going on, I would see artists all the time that I thought were incredibly talented, and I, still listen to their music this day, but I never reached out and said, hey, you're really doing a good job or whatever. So I can only imagine there's many, many, many other fans out there that are just that same way. They're gonna still listen to your shit and they might like it, but they're still not gonna say anything. It's an ego thing, man. You guys hard.
It is, man.
It's hard. I don't know. I don't know why.
It is, bro. It is. I'm guilty. You know where I had to stop, and like it's fun. Oh man, if Sheena was here, she laughs at me, and people don't realize it. If you ever notice, if I like something, it's like 2 days later, because I am so guilty where I'll notice it and then I get bird or squirrel, get distracted. And then like I will be eating cereal. And I'm like, yo, bro posted this. And I looked right at it and I didn't say nothing or comment. And then I would come back, people like, bro, this is like 6 days ago. And it's because the guilt got to me. The fact that I just scrolled through and whenever I remember or I have that, I'm like, because I wouldn't want, and it's not the same people always have to comment or say something on my stuff, but I try to be like, if you want that for yourself, give that energy. Exactly. And I try to be like, give and you'll get it back. So that's it.
I agree. I'm with you, man. I love it. I love the feeling. These go by so fast, bro. So fast.
I know, bro.
But I gotta ask you, I just want to kind of get a grasp of what you have planned coming up or anything like that. So what would you say your goals are, and not necessarily musically, whatever your goals are for the next 5 years? Where are we going to see you at?
Well, right now we're branching out because our publishing company is Suarez Inspired Republic, and that's the music side of it. And we're really working on getting our music placed in certain things, music licensing and stuff like that. We're trying to get a better understanding with that. And it seems to be going good. We got a lot of inquiries, it's just nothing biting right now. So it's okay. But we're starting to branch out and we're starting Suarez Inspired Tech, where I'm starting to trying to start my own tech company. And one of the things with that, getting to software development and things like that, because I want to branch off and do multiple things. And another thing is we're going with gaming with that is I talked to my son about it because he's such a good gamer, bro. And I was like, hey man, you want to do a Twitch? Let's do a Twitch. Let's do a father and son Twitch. And where he's way better in some of these games than me, so I'll be leaning on him. But we're just sitting down and just filming the game. And I don't know how all that works. I'm new to it, but I want to get him going with that because he's always asking about having his own YouTube channel, and I'm very hesitant because that's one of the reasons I'm so thin-skinned, because I'm like, man, I don't like trolls. I'm not that person. I'm too blunt for that shit. And it's like, and I don't like the weirdos, but it's like you want to protect your child. So, but it's time. I think he's ready, and I think I want to get him going with that. But right now, the tech industry and then gaming is where we're shifting our focus to.
It's actually, I got into that a little bit when I spoke with Krishina about him, starting his own YouTube channel and stuff like that. So like, where are you? That was, I don't know, a month, 2 ago now, I guess. Where are you now in that process? And like, have you come across any like epiphanies? Like, all right, so yeah, this is definitely the way we got to do this to keep him, on track, if you know what I'm saying.
It is. It's big. Well, one of the big things I did was I had a recent opportunity I could have either fully. I kind of stopped. I turned away my full-time job in a sense and went because I'm going all in, and it's super fucking scary. But like, because I want to go all in to make sure that when he's here, he gets to live his dream. I don't know how it looks. Starting tomorrow, I'm gonna start looking more at Twitch videos and try to get a format and an idea how it goes, because podcasting and stuff he talks about, And like for me, it's hard because when I go in on something, I want to go, go, go. And I never want to be that. I never wanted to be that dad where it's like, oh, you want to start this, you're going to finish it. Like I try to let him find his creative process because I never want to steer him away from it or hinder it. But I do want him to understand that the responsibility that comes with that. Like, so because you'll get people looking. I feel responsible for people who listen to my music or people who follow me, like to make sure that there's especially if you follow us off the way I love my wife, and you like, oh, you see this husband who loves his wife. I got to make sure that my life is in order. I'm not bullshitting, cheating on my wife. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's the ethical dilemma that I want him to understand as a young man to make sure that your moral and your standards, however that's going to be, you're responsible for these viewers who look at you. So.
No, I love it, and then it's very easy to get into a kind of get tunnel vision and say, all right, I set this goal however long ago, a few years ago, I need to make this happen. But at the same time, we also have to take a step back and realize that that might not be the best thing for us to continue that and,
Yes.
reroute. It's not,
Yeah.
we get too stuck on one idea and we think that's the way it has to be. But
Absolutely.
I feel you, bro. And I appreciate that. I love hearing just knowledgeable stuff from independent artists. I feel like people put independent people, up and coming artists in a box like, oh well, they're obviously not good because they're not popular. It's like that's not even remotely close to the truth. Not at all.
They steal our stuff anyway, bro. I think that
they do.
I used to run away from the independent artist thing, and I embrace it now because now you have labels trying to disguise artists as independent artists because they realize there's more freedom. Well, we have more freedom. We have more creative control. So
absolutely. Well, man, we're about out of time here. I just want to give you the floor, one opportunity. If you have a message you want to give to your fans, where can we find you? What do you have coming this year? All that type of stuff.
Well, quick coming this year. The biggest thing, our company, Suarez Inspired Republic, our SIR, as we like to say, is releasing Sheena's project next, TYS2, part 2. That's coming soon. A lot of people don't know about that, so that's the first announcement that we're saying. It's a surprise project. I have a project coming soon. Cereal for Dinner, or singles, I should say. Cereal for Dinner, Living Single. All these projects that I'm releasing it's setting up for Saturday Morning too. It's all a part of the Saturday Morning universe. So like every album or every song I'm putting out, it's the part of the same universe of telling the stories of the main character from Saturday morning cartoons. And I'm still looking, any animation artist listening to this, I'm still looking for an animation artist who can take my album, Saturday Morning Cartoon, and we can work on turning it into like a YouTube TV show. So it's a dream of mine. And then, well, of course, me and Sheena working on our joint project, Mr. and Mrs. Suarez. That should be coming beginning of next year. So.
Oh, if I run into any graphic whatever, whoever makes cartoons, I don't even know what their title would be.
Oh yeah, like,
I'll let you know.
yeah.
But again, I appreciate having you on, man. This was fun.
Yes, bro.
You're welcome back anytime. I'm gonna do a little outro here. Stay with me a little bit. I'll talk to you a little bit after this. But I thank everybody for listening to episode 10 with iamDES, or if you want to call him Devontae Suarez, I think he's all right with that too. You can find him on Instagram at devontae.suarez. And I'll also leave his link tree down below so you can be linked to his music and his website and anything else that he ever updates on there for sure. That's it, y'all. I appreciate you for coming in, man.
Hey, no problem, bro.